Cyber attack on meat production. Let's have a look. Hello everyone, Florian.Heise here, and welcome to another episode of HeiseSays. Grab your stein of coffee because we're going to talk about the recent cyber attack on global meat processing giant JBS. Now, I am a fan of meat. I recommend it. It should be the staple of everyone's diet. But that it doesn't seem to be the trend among, well, let's say our betters and our elites, or at least those who think they are our betters and elites, particularly the World Economic Forum. They're pushing incorrectly for a plant-based diet better for the environment. Now, I've looked at articles written proving that going completely 100% vegan, which no one ever does, which is impossible, is equivalent to $5 worth of carbon credits per year. So 5 7-Eleven coffees is, I would argue, is equal to being vegan. But the other point I would put forward is that doesn't take into account the negative health effects of having a diet deficient in all of the nutrients from animals. The bioavailability of the nutrients from plants isn't the same as what you get from animals. And that manifests in, well, often having a deficiency in certain nutrients, vitamins, minerals. It can manifest in depression. And then that can have related health consequences. And one could argue that that could be a drain on our economy just as much, and probably have a greater negative consequence, could offset the benefit of that carbon saving. But we're here anyway. That's aside from the point. That's another point here that I just want to highlight. I just want to raise when we hear this constant anti-meat rhetoric, particularly from the W.E.F, the World Economic Forum. Now, they've warned us. It's not enough that we have a global pandemic. They've warned us about something even worse. Another type of pandemic, a cyber pandemic. They highlighted that as a significant issue, another risk facing us. And here, this is an article about cybersecurity, averting a cyber pandemic. How businesses are building a global response to cybersecurity risks. And, I mean, is this... I can't imagine this is much of a leap, arguing that there are significant potential risks to, cyber risks. People are going to have more opportunity to solicit money from people by shutting down their systems. And that's what they're going to do. That's what criminals will do. They'll find ways to make money. That's just what this is. And people will have to address it. Now, this meat attack, or this attack on global meat processing giant JBS, it's made the news. The latest cyber attack victim is the world's largest meat supplier. Meat is the latest cyber victim as hackers hit the top supplier. Hackers hit JBS, the world's largest meat processor, in ransomware attack. Overcoming the cyber pandemic. You've got other people talking about it. Now, have you ever been attacked by one of these? I have. My business got, a simple ransomware virus got through. One of my staff members was on a Windows 8 computer that I hadn't put all these security patches to because we were using small business server and caused some issues. They were going on a website shopping for shoes. And then all of a sudden, our system started getting encrypted. Now, we managed to catch it before it happened. I unplugged the computer from the network, so that stopped the encryptions. And the issue with the encryption software is it encrypted the stuff on the workstation, which didn't really matter. Who cares? And then it started working down the map drives alphabetically. And our first map drive that I'd mapped to all the staff was a drive which I called the archive drive, which I had all of the old projects there, that just in case you needed to access it. So we had a whole lot of stuff that was encrypted, which was old projects that I honestly didn't care about. Fortunately, we had a backup, so it didn't really affect us. We lost a few things that I can't even remember, to be honest. But that shows you need to keep your systems secure and your fail-safes in place. And that was all on me because I couldn't update that one workstation with the security patches, and it got through. And the staff member was shopping on business time. This is why a firm I worked for, Blyvold & Niels, when I was a student, they didn't allow staff to access any email or anything from their work computers. It was all done from a dial-up computer in the lunchroom. So if you wanted to do your banking, you wanted to do your email at lunch, sure, you could. And that's a great solution. I've got no problem with that. I had another friend who was cyber attacked. His whole business Everything was encrypted. He was away on holiday. He hadn't updated his server. All of it was done. So what he did is he had a mate in IT claim that it was all lightning damage, got it all replaced. He paid the criminals the money to get his stuff de-encrypted because he didn't have any backups. So that's the risk as well associated with this, guys, because people are paying. They're taking the risk and they're paying. And that'll just exacerbate it. But what can you do? So, and remember, this another high-profile cyber attack was the Colonial Pipeline disaster. And they paid as well, everyone. Ransomware attacks could reach pandemic proportions. What to know after the pipeline hack? U.S. gas prices rise as Colonial Pipeline reopens after the ransomware attack. So these are people making money. Colonial hack exposes government's light touch oversight of pipeline cybersecurity. Well, this is a business. Businesses need to have systems in place. Hopefully, this will be a wake-up call to businesses to step up their own security, to step up their backups. Guys, how are your backups? Let us know in the comments. How often do you back up? Weekly, monthly? Do you keep it on the cloud? Do you have a physical backup in 2 locations? You know, I might have to go buy a few hard drives and do some more get some backups, you know, cycle through again. So I thought we'd look at the search trends for cyber pandemic because it's, you know, people are worried about it. You saw there was the big jump when the World Economic Forum was talking about it earlier in the year. And some people were worried, and understandably so, that it's the biggest risk. Now, the question is, the discussion about it, is that prompting people to do it or to explore it more? Or is this just, you know, criminals trying to find vulnerabilities in big companies? I mean, it's the smart thing to do. If you're going to hit someone, you're not going to go a small little business that's got nothing. You want to go a big firm that can send you $1 million, $2 million. And they'll just do it to keep going. Or they'll have systems in place to counter it. And you can see, once again, cyber pandemic is growing. But here, this is interesting where the biggest search results are. Have a look at that. Look at where it's trending. The US, Canada, Turkey, India, and the UK and Ireland. So and we've got a few countries here. But there you go. Wonder how many are coming from Turkey, guys. How many cyber attacks? Or from India. Or maybe they're, you know, opportunities to provide services to counter that. So let's have a read through the media release from JBS, everyone. So the media statement, JBS USA cybersecurity attack. On Sunday, May 30th, JBS USA determined that it was the target of an organized cybersecurity attack, affecting some of the servers supporting its North American and Australian IT systems. The company took immediate action, suspending all affected systems, notifying authorities, and activating the company's global network of IT professionals and third-party experts to resolve the situation. The company's backup servers were not affected, and it is actively working with an incident response firm to restore its systems as soon as possible. So there you go, their backups are in place. So this is showing you that these businesses, you need to have a risk assessment and a cybersecurity action plan in place. You've got to have these strategies laid down. I remember when I was going for my PQC, pre-qualification for government work, we implemented an ISO system. And part of that, I had a emergency response in place. I had to develop all these documents. This is the one useful thing I found from the Australian government. It was this app that helped you just write all these things, these plans, really quick and easy. It was great. Of course, now it's completely gone. They don't update it anymore. It's frustrating. But what the incident we had was when the space that we were sharing in between our office and the landlord was a big warehouse. They did a whole lot of timber work there. And if you know about cutting timber for industrial furniture and those type of things, it's full of chemicals. It was terrible. So I had to evacuate the office until it was aired out for a few days. So I implemented the plan. I was happy. The company is not aware of any evidence at this time that any customer, supplier, or employee data has been compromised or misused as a result of the situation. Resolution of the incident will take time, which may delay certain transactions with customers and suppliers. So let's look at this article, how the ABC are reporting this. So The world's largest meat processing company, JBS Foods, has fallen victim to cyber attacks that have shut down production around the world, including in Australia. The company's information systems were targeted. Chief Executive Brent Eastwood confirmed to Beef Central on Monday. JBS has 47 facilities across Australia and operates the largest networks of production facilities and feedlots in the country. The company also has meat processing facilities in North and South America, Brazil, and Canada. A spokesperson refused to comment on the cyber attacks. When was this written? Before or after? This was written yesterday. Well, I guess they've already released their media statement a few days ago. John Condon is a publisher of Beef Central, a daily news and marketing intelligence service for the beef industry, and said the impact of the shutdown, depends on how long the stoppage lasts. At this point, nobody knows, he told ABC Radio Australia. It could be a day, it could be a week, it could be multiple weeks. Can you really think it's multiple weeks to get it up and running? I would be shocked that it would be that hard to get it up and running. I could see it happening in a couple of days, maybe a week if you really push it. But there should be redundancy in your system that you can move over to another one. The longer it goes, the worse the situation in terms of supply disruption. I don't think anyone should be concerned about potentially running short of meat. So they're not worried about that. I mean, we've got 6 months worth of meat supply just by the way we buy meat, so I'm not worried about that. But maybe there'll be a run on it. There are a lot of meat processors in Australia other than JBS, and if this issue was to extend beyond a short period of time, it would not be that difficult or unusual for processing to occur in other locations or by companies to keep the meat supply in order. They'll just put on another shift. Some people will work overtime. If it's only short-term, a day's processing loss isn't going to make that much difference. He said, however, that JBS was the biggest company in the world for beef, chicken, and pork, and the significance of the attack should not be underestimated. The Federal Agricultural Minister, David Littleproud, confirmed the government was aware of the hack and was working to get the company nationally back online. What's the government going to do? We're obviously working with law enforcement here in Australia, and we're also working with our international partners, Mr. Littleproud said. It's under investigation, and it's important that we respect the process. The technology that JBS use, the systems they use, go to the heart of the quality assurance of the beef that they process. So we need to make sure that we can get them up and going to give confidence, not just to consumers here in Australia, but also export markets. So what does this mean for workers? Quoting recent JBS data, Mr. Condon said the company employed 6,687 beef and sheep processors around Australia. It is these workers that the Australian Meat Industry Employers Union Queensland Secretary Matt Jono was concerned about if the shutdown continued. Well, why? Oh, I guess maybe. You don't have to pay them, do you, if they're casual? But how many of them will be permanent? The meat in the sandwich is that it's a concerted effort against Australian business, and workers will suffer as a result of that. Well, no, it's against the US branch of the business. In most processing facilities, the workers are on daily hire arrangements, and unfortunately, if they don't get work, they don't get paid. There are 6 sites in Queensland that will be affected, and around the nation there would be significantly more. Late on Monday, he said workers would be paid for the day, with JBS working to get its payroll system back online. I believe they will be paid because payday is today. Well, there you go. I mean, that's... The unions have to rattle the saber to give them relevance. So what happens to the cattle? Mr. Condon said that stoppage lasted multiple days. Cattle would likely be returned to paddocks, feedlots, or assignment. This will create logistical problems right up and down the supply chain. It's going to be an enormous hardship for JBS operations. Earlier this month, Argentina announced a snap 30-day ban on all beef exports with ramifications for the trade globally, including a possible shortage of lean beef. We don't want lean beef. You don't want lean beef. Do not eat lean beef. You want fatty beef. You want beef that preferably has been grass-fed, and not grain-finished, pasture-raised with regenerative farming. Because that's ideally what you want to get. Even hormone-free if you can get it, but, come on. That's what you want. Pay the extra for that if you can afford it, guys. But rather, even if you can't afford it, just buy any meat you get. Eat it. Real meat. Real meat. Animal meat. Not fake meat that they want you to eat. That's like this fake meat stuff. It is like the gruel that they feed to people in cults. You know, the leaders of the cults, they would eat meat, they would eat normal food, real, you know, healthy food, and they'd feed all their little peons gruel and rubbish to give, you know, stupefy them. Is that happening on a global scale here, guys? And the vegans are the willing idiots for, you know, their new elite leaders, or am I going a bit crazy? So, every step of the process was shut down. Cattle getting entered in the system to be processed. When those cuts in a box, computers print tickets. Yeah, yep. I mean, that's it. You need these systems in place to, well, to optimize just your workflow, your business. Now, where's it coming from? Here is the latest thing coming out of the US. They say the ransomware attack is likely from Russia. Well, so here's the thing. You're going to have all the things. Oh, is it Russian operatives, the Russian government, or is it Russian criminals? Probably Russian criminals, guys. You know, would anyone be surprised? So here's the question. Here's the solutions to this. As a consumer, as a small business owner, learn the lesson from this. Are you vulnerable to cyber attacks? They're going to be growing. There's money to be made in it. What solutions, what systems do you have in place? Do you have your backup system in place, everyone? Yeah. Do you have a daily, weekly, monthly backup? Do you have a physical backup that's disconnected from your network? Do you have it stored in 2 locations in case of fire, maybe even 3? Do you have a cloud backup? What do you have in place? Now's the time. If one of the takeaways from this is now's the time to go check and make sure it's all good. And maybe just maybe become a, you know, ill-prepared prepper. Have a little bit of food supply just in case. Can't hurt. Yeah. Have the generator. I need to stock up on my petrol supply now. I've run out. Because, I'll buy petrol and store it because I've got a generator in case I need, we've got prolonged time without power. So I can keep the freezer going with our food stuff. That's essentially what it is. And just because we recently had a power outage because of a fire in a coal power plant here in Queensland too, it shows you it can happen. But, I'll use the petrol for the cars and for the lawnmower all the time so I'm forced to refresh it. So I've got to do another run. Anyway, guys, thanks for watching. Let me know your thoughts and opinions on this one in the comments down below. If you're a fan of the channel and enjoy the content I create here, there are a few ways you can support us. You can join us on YouTube or Patreon. You can support us using our affiliate links at Amazon, eBay, Independent Reserve, or AussieBroadband. You can buy merch from HeiseSays, use Gold Pass from the Perth Mint, or support us via PayPal. Take care, everyone. Have a great day. I'll see you next time. Bye for now.